we'll be able to roll with that. And if we talk about elasticity, I'm not sure what exactly comes into mind. If we say elasticity, I'm not sure if somebody really knows what that means or what comes to mind, not what it means. Anybody have idea as to what comes to mind when we talk about elasticity? As I'm bringing the screen up. Well, growing up, whenever we hear about something being related to elastic, we normally think about something like a rubber band. I'm not sure all of us know what a rubber band is. Rubber band, or let me also say something like a catapult. I'm not sure if we all also know what a catapult is. A catapult, in some areas, you go to farm, you go to the forest, and they do have what we term as catapult, and sometimes they use that to maybe try to it's a form of is something that they use to maybe attack animals or try to kill birds and all those kind of stuff. A catapult. And this topic, whenever we mention this topic, we tend to liken that to that stretch, how far a rubber band can be stretched or a catapult can be stretched. And that is what we term as when we speak of elasticity, normally that is what comes to mind. If you really don't know what comes to mind or what it's being likened to or what is being related to in terms of economics, that's what it means. And somebody will ask, why this story about elastic or rubber band or catapult? We do this just to be able to practically understand what this topic is all about. Because for those who knows what a catapult is, the more you stretch it, okay, somebody will say that the far the stone or whatever you put in there goes. So if you stretch it and throw out the stone in the catapult, the farther you stretch it, the farther that stone goes. Okay, and that is what this topic is all about, and that's what we're gonna be, talking. Sorry for that. That's what we're going to be talking about in terms of economics. All right. So following me through the slide, let's see what we do have today. Okay, so we are projecting that by the end of this topic, we should be able to know certain things, and it's our goal or it's our objective for this particular topic. So we're expecting each and every one to be able to at least define what elasticity is and the role it plays in economics by the end of this topic. Okay, we are expecting each and every one to be able to do that. We also expecting people from this class, students from this class, to be able to calculate the price of elasticity of demand. Okay, as well, be able to interpret the numerical value found by calculating the price elasticity of demand for a good or service. Okay, we should also be able to use the elasticity of demand to determine how total revenue will change in response to a change in price. Okay, further, we should be able to also predict how the number of substitutes or the proportion of income spent on a good or services will impact the elasticity of demand. These are all objectives by the end of the day we should be able to accomplish. Again, we should be able to predict how the characteristics of a good or service and the passage of time impact the elasticity of demand. We should also be able to calculate the income elasticity of demand and determine whether the good or service is normal or is inferior. Okay. We should also be able to calculate the price elasticity of supply, and finally be able to interpret the numerical value found by calculating the price elasticity of demand. Sorry, price elasticity of supply for a good or service. So by the end of the day, we are expecting that we should be able to accomplish this. That is, this is what the value of the time we're going to spend here. We should be able to come up with all these things. We should be able to understand and also perform what this topic means to us and understand it properly. All right, and that is where we are aiming towards. Good. So now, when we talk about elasticity, the shape of our supply and demand curve will help us, okay, to be able to understand what that means, the responsiveness of supply and demand to change in market conditions. Okay, that is what we are going to deal with. The responsiveness, okay, the responsiveness is what we term as the elasticity, okay, the responsiveness, how it reacts, the reaction, okay, is what we term as the elasticity, okay, and that is what we are talking about today. Good. We do have what it means and how it can be defined and calculated also right here as I'm sharing. Okay, per our test, elasticity is a measure of how responsive one variable, okay, is to a change in another variable. Okay, how responsive one variable is to change in another variable. Okay, and that can be calculated as change in quantity divided by change in price. That is percentage. Okay, percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. So for those who does not understand what that triangle over there means, it's all about change. Okay, so the percentage comes before the triangle, and we have the quantity, and then it's read as change in quantity divided by change in price. Okay, so that is what we are talking about, and that is all that I'm trying to put across. And in reference to the beginning introduction that I gave, how this is going to affect consumers, how it's going to affect suppliers. You see, this is what we are talking about today, and that is elasticity. Okay, that is elasticity. Good. So we need to define the concept of elasticity, explain how a higher price and a lower price will do what? Will affect consumers and then producers. And that is the order of the day. By the end of the day, this is what we need to be able to put in our basket and take home as we are on a shopping spree in this class. Okay, at the end of the day, we should be able to basket this and take it home. Okay, we have already mentioned that elasticity is the responsiveness, okay, to change in price. Okay, that is what we have already said. Okay, how it reacts, the reaction, the sensitivity or the responsiveness to a change in price. Okay, that is what we are saying. It's elasticity. Okay, so at the end of the day, we should be able to do what? Define that when we get to rate in any examination or in any quiz or wherever we might find ourselves. That is what elasticity means. It is a term economists use to measure the sensitivity or the responsiveness of to a change in price. That is elasticity. That is elasticity. Good. So if the quantity change is larger than the price, what happens? Then it means consumers or producers, in one way or the other, are doing what? Responding to the change in price. I'm repeating myself. If the quantity change is larger or bigger than the price change, then consumers or producers are responding to the price change. This is something you have to put in at the back of your mind, because we're going to use this throughout the topic. Okay, if the quantity change is equal to the price change, then consumers or producers have a one-to-one sensitivity to the price change. Okay, I hope somebody is following. Okay, I hope somebody is following. And then if the percentage change in the quantity is less than the percentage change in price, then consumers and producers are not responding to the price change. This is as simple as we can think of. That is as simple as we can think of. And this is how it's going to affect consumers and then producers throughout every market that you find yourself. Okay, so that is elasticity of demand. That is elasticity of demand for you. All right, so first we will start with consumers, right? Let's first start with consumers. To calculate the price elasticity of demand, like I said just now, we are looking at the responsiveness, right? We are looking at the responsiveness to changing price. Okay, when we want to calculate the elasticity of demand, we are dealing with the consumer side. So we are trying to look at the sensitivity, okay, of consumers to the change in price. Okay, so let's look at that right now. Now, that is what we term as price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand. That is dealing with the consumer side, okay, of elasticity. Okay, that is a measure of how responsive quantity demanded is to a change in price. Okay, this is also calculated, as you can see it right there. Okay, that is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. You will be able to come up with your what? The price elasticity of demand. So if you are asked to address price elasticity of demand or to calculate, this is how you come up with the price elasticity of demand. So let's move forward. Good. So now somebody will ask, how did we even arrive at, let me go back to this slide. How did we arrive at this change in percentage change in quantity demanded? Okay, to be able to get this percentage change in quantity demanded and percentage change in price, you will have to calculate it from this point. So percentage change in quantity demanded is calculated as follows. Okay, it's calculated as follows. All right, you can see it right there on your screen. All right, percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to Q2 minus Q1, okay, divided by Q1 multiplied by 100%. Okay, so the percentage is the absolute change in the value of the variable divided by the original value. So the Q is the original value minus, okay, the change. So assuming the quantity is 20, and maybe when there was a change in price, it shifted to maybe 30, it's going to be 30 minus 20 divided by 20, which is the original quantity. Okay, you arrive at the quantity demanded. If you go to the change in price as well, you see the same thing, the same scenario, the same formula. Okay, change in original minus the variable, that is P2, sorry, P2 minus P1 divided by the P1 multiplied by 100% will give you the change in price. So, for example, quantity is originally at 20, as I just mentioned, okay? Quantity is originally at 20 and changes to 25. And price is originally at 10 and changes to 9. This is how our formula is going to come up. And we will calculate this and have the end results to be able to put it in the original slide, which is, in the original formula, which is the quantity, change in quantity demanded divided by change in price. Okay, this is what we're going to put in to be able to get our what? Price elasticity of demand. I hope we are all following. All right, so this is what it is. I hope everybody do understand up to this point. So as we do have right here, we now have the the percentage change in quantity demanded and percentage change in price. So all we need to do is to do what? Calculate the price elasticity of demand. So it is so simple. If you are following, you do come up with the first one on top. If you're looking at the elasticity of demand, the price elasticity of demand, the top formula says change in percentage change in quantity demanded. So how do you get percentage change in quantity demanded? As I explained earlier on, Q is the Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q1, which is the original value, multiplied by 100. That will give you what? The percentage change in quantity demanded. And then for the percentage change in price, it's going to P2 minus P1. That is the original price is the P1, and it changed to P2. So P2 minus P1, and then we divide it by the original value of P1 multiplied by 100, and that will give us what? It will give us the change in percentage change in price. So you put that in to be able to calculate this, and we'll be able to get it right there. Okay, so what does this even means? It says if the price decreases by 1%, the quantity demanded will increase by 2.5%. What does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? If the price decreases by 1%,
Professor,
yes.
the negative mark, it means like an opposite relationship.
Say that again.
The negative mark. The
Yes.
negative mark. It means
Yes.
there is an opposite relationship, like increase, decrease. And vice versa?
Yes. Yes. When there is a negative, it's a decrease. Okay. It's a decrease. Okay. So that is what you have to know from the word go. Whenever you see the negative, it's a decrease, although we'll get there. But whenever you see the negative, it's a decrease. Okay. If the price decreased by 1%, okay, it means the quantity demanded will also be increased by 2.5%. So that's a decrease. All right. Good. So moving forward, price elasticity of demand. They are giving us a hint that the price elasticity of demand will always be what? Negative. This is because of what? Because it's having an inverse relationship for price and quantity demanded. Okay, according to what we have studied a couple of weeks ago, the law of demand. Okay, because of the inverse relationship that it has for price and quantity demanded, according to the law of demand, this will always be what? Negative. It's a hint. Just keep it in your head so that wherever you meet such stuff, you'll be able to interpret. Now, they want us to distinguish between the slope and elasticity on a linear demand curve. On a linear demand curve. So, what is the difference between the slope and elasticity on a linear demand curve? Before we even move forward, let me tell you that it's very similar, but it's not the same. Okay, slope and elasticity are related. Okay, but they are very different. Okay, the slope of a linear demand curve is the same at each point. It's the same at each point. Okay, unlike slope on the other side, or unlike what we call it, let me put it this way. The slope of a linear demand curve is the same at each point. I hope we all know the point. Okay, but slope is measured also by the change in the rise of price divided by the change in the rise of quantity. I'm not sure if I'm really making sense to somebody. Okay, the slope of a linear curve is at this it's at the same point, or each at the same point, or each point. Okay, and it can also be measured. Okay, slope is also measured by the change in the rise of price divided by the change in the rise of quantity. Elasticity, on the other hand, right? Elasticity, on the other hand, changes along the linear demand curve. Normally, I love it when I'm in classroom. It changes along the linear demand curve. If somebody remembers, when we were treating demand and supply and the curve, we did mention the quantity demanded and quantity demand. One is a shift and one is a movement along the same curve. This is the same similar scenario that we are trying to bring to bear. Okay, so on the other hand, elasticity changes along the linear demand curve because we also include initial price and quantity when calculating elasticity. I hope somebody is getting that. Okay, so that is how we distinguish, or we try to differentiate between the slope and elasticity of a linear demand curve. Okay, that is how it is being differentiated. One is measured by the change in the rise of price, okay, divided by the change in the price of quantity, all right, which is the slope. And on the other side, elasticity change along the linear demand curve, okay, that is the change, and that is the difference. Sorry. Good. Now, let's see what we have by trying to test
Professor.
ourselves. Yes.
Actually, it is very clear that the slope is different from elasticity because they have different expression to calculate the slope and the elasticity. But I don't get how the elasticity change along the curve. Actually, because if I took any two different points along the curve and do a change in price and change in quantity, then I divided the change in quantity over the change in price, it should be the same along the curve.
I did not get what you are trying to put across.
While calculating elasticity, we shall have two different points on the curve. Point one, for example, and point two. Then we shall calculate the change in quantity and the change in price. But it should be the same. While I calculate the elasticity along the curve, or on the other side, due to the division by the initial condition, that's what makes the difference.
It is related again, but like I said, they are different. Okay, there is no way when you draw it, it's going to be the same. It's going to be different. I wish I could get this over here and show you. But it's not going to be the same if you are calculating the slope and
actually,
elasticity
Professor,
changes.
I got it. Yes.
You got. There should be what we call it. It's in the book. Although I have a hard copy, I was trying to see if I can look for it and then show you. But if you go back to the test, you'll be able to reference to that. Okay. Good. Okay. Follow through that. So that is what we are able to talk about in terms of the slope and then the elasticity. Okay, the distinguish or the differences. All right.
Actually, I guess the difference comes from the definition of the change in quantity and price, because in the elasticity, change in quantity or price, it is the condition 2 minus condition 1 over condition 1 divided by, and then having a percentages. While in the slope, we differentiate 2 points on y-axis and 2 points on x-axis without dividing by anything. So it is totally different, and for this reason they change along the curve. I got the point.
Good. And as you did mention, if you remember, I mentioned that to you, that because we include the initial quantity when calculating elasticity. When I was trying to explain this, I'm not sure if somebody got that. Okay, that is going to cause a change right there. All right. So if I did make justice to that, then somebody should also help me here. I need support. I'm on live support right now. Who can support me? Rodas, are you there? How is the slope of a linear demand curve? Okay. How is the slope of a linear demand curve different from its elasticity? We just did this, right? Don't talk, Nora. Can somebody help us here?
May I speak, Professor?
Go ahead. Mansoon, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Professor.
Good.
I would go with the option C, Professor. Along a linear demand curve, elasticity changes. So that's the answer for the question.
Would you pause there, or you can tell me why you're gonna go for that answer?
Excuse me, Professor?
Would you pause there, or you tell me why you're going for that answer?
Okay, sure, Professor.
Okay, we just explained this. Okay, we just explained this, and Lauren also gave us some 50 cents from Canada on that as well. So don't forget again, slope is measured by the change in the rise of price divided by the change in the rise of quantity. On the other side, or on the other hand, elasticity changes along the linear demand curve. The reason and the major important thing right there to be able to at least differentiate and then put at the back of your mind is that we also include the initial price and quantity when calculating elasticity. Okay, the slope uses change in price and quantity, while the elasticity calculation uses percentage change in price and quantity. That's it. So our answer is C. Thank you so much, Mansoon. Now we get into the good side of the good side of the topic. So elastic, inelastic, and then unit elastic. Okay, what are all these elastic, the TIC? What are all these things for? Okay, when we considering what these elasticity numbers mean in economics, okay, we have three terms that helps us to clarify the potential impact or the responsiveness or the sensitivity, as I said earlier on, impact changes, okay, in the market or to the consumers and the suppliers. Okay, so whenever we try to do what, consider what these numbers mean, we will always have these numbers being defined and represented in three categories, or in these three clarifications, and that is what we have as elastic, inelastic, and then unit elastic. Okay, that is what we have as that. So we always consider if demand is either elastic, if demand is inelastic, or unit elastic. Okay, this is why we go in, and this is how this topic becomes so interesting. So we would like to hear from almost everybody. So when we talk about absolute value, that is elasticity of demand, is always what? Negative. It's always negative. I have already said this to you. Somebody would say it's medicine. Make sure you take it so that you don't die. All right. Economists use the absolute value of the negative number for easier comparison. It helps us to do what? To be able to compare. All right. That is what we have right now. And we're moving into how it's also going to be represented. For those who have forgotten their less than, greater than, we have to be able to remind you that you need to understand that your left hand is termed as the less than, and then the right hand is what we term as the greater than sign. So soon as you lift your hand and then try to bend it up in what we call it in a 90 degree, sorry, you'll be able to make a less than and then a greater than. And the greater than is what we term as what? The elastic. And the less than is what we term as the inelastic. And the unit elastic is the equal or is equivalent. Okay, that is where quantity demanded is equivalent or equal to the change in the percentage change in price. So unit elastic is where the percentage change in quantity demanded is equivalent to the percentage change in price. And when we talk about inelastic, they are saying that its percentage change in quantity demanded is less than percentage change in price. Okay. On the other hand, elastic means percentage change in quantity demanded is greater than percentage change in price. So now we have a very practical question right here. And it says, if the change in price is 20% and the change in quantity demanded is 10%, what type of elasticity is present here? Is somebody with me?
Inelastic.
Say that again.
Inelastic.
Unit elastic.
No. B. Inelastic.
Inelastic. Okay. That's a word. Ahmed, sorry. Ahmed said inelastic. Anybody have a different answer? Anybody? Can somebody tell why is inelastic?
Can
somebody tell?
Can I say?
Yes, go ahead.
Because when we divide the quantity, which is 10%, over would be divided by the change in price, which is 20%, the elasticity will be 0.5, half, which is less than 1.
Good. Awad, I owe you 20%, 20 cents too. Okay, you got to look for me and then pick that up. So
Yeah,
that's what he just said. So we have a 10% here. Okay, that is in the change in quantity demanded, and then we also have what? The price change in what? 20%. Okay, and they are asking you what kind of elasticity is present here. All you do is what? Go back to the very first 3, 4, 5 slides. The formula is right there. What does the formula says? Okay, can somebody tell us what the formula says? Is what? Change in what? Quantity demanded. Percentage change in quantity demanded, right? All right. Divided by what? Percentage change in what? Price. Are we there? So when we look at what Amwad just told us, he took 10% and did what? Divided it by 20%. And he's telling us that he's getting what? 0.5 or 0.5, which is less than 1. And according to what we have been saying all along, and the theories of elasticity, and just about, I think, just about a slide ago, we saw, I demonstrated with our arm that our left arm is less than, and then the right is greater than. And I told you also that when it is when the quantity is it, yes, when the change in percentage, when the percentage change in quantity demanded is greater than percentage change in price, is what we term as what? Elasticity. Elastic. And when the percentage change in quantity demanded is less than percentage change in price, that is where we term as what? Inelastic. So if Awad or Ahmed, sorry, I always want to use your last name, comes up with this and tells us that it is inelastic, I hope we are not out of order and we all do understand that it is inelastic. And that is the reason why, after calculating, he came up with 0.5, which is less than 1. I hope we are all good here. All right, let's move forward. We do have an inelastic demand. Perfect. So we do have another question here. If the price elasticity of demand for a product is dash, it is considered elastic. If the price elasticity of demand for a product is dash, it is considered elastic. No talk, Noran. No talk, Monsoon. Do not also say anything, Ahmed. Anybody can answer this question.
B is the answer. Greater than 1.
I forgot to say no, you, Rodas. So you sneak in there.
Yes, it's because loud. It's loud here. That's why I wasn't being able to answer. But I've been participating in the chat box.
I know. I see you chatting. That's why I responded early on, and I do appreciate that. Thank you so much, Rodas. So thank you so much. You sneak in to come and give me the answer, but I will take it. I was gonna give you 20%, 20 cents, but I'm not giving that to you. So thank you for your answer. And it's what? It is B. The answer is B, is greater than 1. Okay. Whenever you do forget that, just lift up your arm and then try to do 90 degree, and you'll be able to find out. The left one is less than and the right one is greater than. If it's greater than, we are talking about elastic. If it's less than, we're talking about what? Inelastic. If it's equal to each other or equivalent, we term as what? Unit. Okay, so that is all we are talking about. So if you do not understand or have any challenge, please don't hesitate. We are all here to share the knowledge together. Which of the following statement is correct when the price elasticity of demand is inelastic? Can somebody also tell us what it is here? We have this is the opposite of the first question we answered. This is the opposite. So those who have not spoken, can somebody talk? Which of the following statement is correct when the price of elasticity of demand is inelastic? We have to know that the elasticity coefficient is less than 1. I just mentioned that. So let's try to also keep abreast with that. All right. That is for that question. We do have another question here. I don't want to mention anybody's name. If you feel okay, you can answer to that. The price of a camera decreases from $200 to $180. And in response to the price change, the quantity demanded increases from 60 to 65 units. Therefore, the demand for cameras in this percentage range has done what? Can somebody tell us?
C, Professor.
Okay, Monsoon is saying it's inelastic. Monsoon is saying
yes,
it's inelastic.
Because, Professor, because the percentage change on quantity demanded is less than the percentage change on price. So after the calculation, the result will be less than 1, and the product could be inelastic.
Good. Good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's Monsoon, right? I do appreciate your response to that. I was having something here I wanted to share, but I threw it off. So good. So that is the answer to that question. Oh boy. I lost my page that I wanted to share something from right now. Okay, that's fine. So let's move forward. Now, we do have another question here. Consumers can be what? Dash in their demand for a product when many substitutes exist. Can somebody do justice to this one?
I guess the answer is D.
The answer is D, Noran. Okay. You want to tell us why?
I guess because when there is substitute exist, change in quantities vary more than price, and therefore the value will be greater there. This means it is elastic.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Noran. Thank you so much. That is exactly what is going to cause us to have that to be elastic. Okay, consumers can be elastic in their demand for a product when many substitutes exists. Okay, when many substitutes exist. Good. And we do have another one. The demand for necessities tends to be what?
Professor, sorry.
Say that again.
Can we go to the previous screen slide?
Sure. Many substitutes.
Why perfectly elastic?
Many substitutes.
Exactly, many substitutes. So if the price increase of a product, okay, I can go for the substitute if I don't like this increase. Okay, now I understand. Okay.
We good? Somebody was on hold or something like that.
Now I understand it now.
You do? Okay. I was looking for something to share with you, but very nice. Good. There we go. I have something here. Good. I want somebody to answer this for me. I was when I was reviewing my textbook, I came across this. Do you agree that a person who needs heart medicine, right, would cut back on the quantity she or he buys because its price has doubled? Do you agree that a person who needs...
No, Professor.
Yes. That's Monsoon, right? Monsoon. Okay. So let me continue. Do you agree that a person who needs heart medicine would cut back on the quantity he or she buys because its price has doubled? Can somebody tell us something here?
No, he cannot.
No, of course.
No.
Why? Because Ahmed was Ahmed, yes, Ahmed was telling us right now that there are so many substitutes, and what if this person really doesn't have the money?
I think because it's a necessity.
That's who? Who is that?
Sarah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah said because it's a necessity. Who again? Who again? Nobody? Okay. In this situation, yes, it is not going to be based on the price, but what? The actual value of the product. It tends to be what? It's like air for that person. It's a necessity. It's like air. If you don't get air, you cannot breathe, so you will die. But I'm trying to, so what we are saying is correct. Okay, what we are saying is correct, but I'm trying to push this a little further. Assuming we don't have the money, Noran, I don't have money. I mean somewhere in a poor country somewhere. I don't have money. What would I do?
Actually, that will not make any change for the price for the product. But the poor guy should have a sponsorship or try to find fundraising institutions, for example, to have the product. No way that will affect the product in price.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have to try to go fund me, right? Yes, it's unfortunate. I find myself in a country, I don't have internet. I don't have any source of getting support. Somebody can help? Ahmed, are you there? This is a very
Yes,
lovely topic, you know?
Yes, I'm here, Professor.
You want to help me? I don't have internet from where I am. By the way, I'm just borrowing somebody's internet to have this class. So
Then
it's very
you
difficult to go with what Noran is saying. I'm not saying Noran's answer is not correct, by the way. I'm just trying to see what others will say.
then your hands are tied. You have to either follow your options are very limited. Either follow the whatever you are borrowing the internet from. Okay, whatever he says, you have to like if he requests money or something in return of you using his service or his internet, or you have to say sorry to us, okay, and change our and reschedule the class again until you have your own internet.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy about the answers you are given. And you also did mention your options being very limited. Yes, this is why economics exists.
But
so thank you, Ahmed.
Professor,
Thank you, Noran.
it is different.
Yes, go ahead.
It's different between it depends on like you need internet to deliver this course, okay? So there is another party in this, another another side. We are the other side, okay? The internet provider is another side, okay? But in case of a person who has heart condition and needs a medicine, he has to get the medicine. As simple as that.
Yes,
he doesn't have options.
Yes, but the
Either
point
get
is
the medicine or die.
Very good. So there is an option. The option is you don't have it. You understand? So if you don't have it, what do you do? So what makes life sometimes economics practical and sometimes very sad when you try to interpret it is this type of practical questions that you can find. For all you might know, somebody will be in this very situation. For all you might know, somebody might be in a country where he needs what we term as pacemaker. I'm not sure all of you are aware or knows what it is. If your heart is very weak, do you think everybody in a poor country can afford pacemaker? No. There might be some other options in terms of drug wise, but a person who cannot afford the pacemaker, we can give him maybe somehow a guaranteed life. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed life, but somehow he's going to be able to live on a pacemaker. That person who cannot afford would end up doing what? Dying. And this is what I'm trying to bring to your attention. That at a point, some souls may be perished because they cannot afford it. And you cannot do anything about it. That one, yes.
To steal. Some may go ahead to steal. The frustration can cause them to steal to survive.
Thank you, Clement. That is a funny one. Yes, someone will also yes, and if you put it in economic context, it's not a good thing. It's not the ethics. When we talk about ethics, it's not good. But in life, yes, people get into this particular scenario and they tend to steal because they cannot fit into this kind of elastic and inelastic situation. So they end up doing what? Stealing. That is also a practical aspect of it. Although I'm not saying stealing is a good thing, but people are being pushed again based on the system, based on the economy, based on what one finds himself. People tend to get to certain certain destinations in life that they might probably not want to get to that level. Thank you, Clement. You want to say something again?
No, my professor, the illustration you just gave and the response from my colleague.
Say that again.
All correct. I said your response, the answer you gave and both the one from my colleague are all correct because I equally face similar situation, actually similar situation. Professor, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I lost a brother and I traveled to the village and there was no internet for me. I borrowed a colleague to join one of the class. And I could not, that was even really affected me and I could not really understand what to do. I was in a fix that I mixed my class, my test, one of my those period.
That's right. So that's true. And I do appreciate you.
So what to do? So that's a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's when you get to situations like that and you have no other options, yes, it becomes very tough. It becomes very tough. And if you are not strong, you'll be broken or you'll be weakened. You'll be forced to do something bad. And yes, in life, in one way or the other, you might get to such points in life. There is no way everything is going to be okay, or there's no way you're going to be able to at least conquer everything. At a point, you might fall. But if you fall, you don't have to just be on there. You got to get up and continue walking, continue running, or continue flying. It's all up to what you want to do. So I do appreciate you sharing that too. And it's a practical aspect of what we are doing. And I thank you for that. So the demand for necessities tends to be what? That is the actual question that made me brought this in. The demand, okay? The demand for necessities tends to be what?
Elastic.
Inelastic.
Inelastic is for who?
Perfectly inelastic.
Perfectly inelastic. So Noran, right? You add perfect. I like that. So we have inelastic, perfectly inelastic, and then who again? Who again?
I would say inelastic.
Clement is inelastic.
Okay. Inelastic. Okay. Inelastic. So inelastic is the day. Why is it inelastic? Why is it inelastic? Somebody there?
Yes, yes, sir. It's inelastic because going by the definition, we all know that the percentage change in quantity of elasticity of demand, when it's less than the percentage change in price, we said it's inelastic. In other words, it means that when despite the price, now the quantity, because it's a necessity goods, and for instance consumable goods, the consumer or the individual need that good more. So the change in quantity is more than the change in price. So sorry, yes, it's less than. So but he still go ahead to purchase the product because he need that product for his survival, irrespective of the price.
All right. So why is it not perfectly inelastic? This question is to
Actually,
everybody.
I guess perfectly,
Come again.
perfectly inelastic. Yes, it's me. I guess it is perfectly inelastic in some conditions. Like, for example, insulin. It is perfectly inelastic because it is a unique medicine for the diabetic condition. While some other products have limited alternatives, so it will be inelastic, but not perfectly inelastic.
Good. But you see, this is why I try to share this particular scenario to you. The one we talked about, the heart medicine. Okay. So at a point, you would not have any other option. Okay. So for medicinal situations might be different from natural what necessities. Is somebody following me? I'm not sure if somebody is going to be able to do away without air. I'm not sure. Somebody, according to study, was not did not drink water for about is it a year or two, was able to stay on what do we call it, drinks and all those stuff. But the end product, the end results, who knows? So this is why I'm saying that it could also be in a perfectly inelastic situation, but this contest is going to be inelastic. Are we there? All right. Now, we do have another question. If the price of a good falls from $5 to $4 and the quantity demanded increases from 4 units to 5 units, the price elasticity of demand is what?
Elastic.
Is elastic.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Unit
Clement.
elastic, I guess.
Sorry. No, it's unit elastic.
Noran, it looks like Clement have joined you. Anybody joining that group? Any joining the A group? Because oh, sorry, you said what, unit, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Unit
C,
elastic.
the C group. I am going for the A group. Anybody joining me? I think it's elastic. Can somebody convince me why is it unit elastic?
Yes. So, Professor, it's unique elastic in that if you look at the question, the question, he said the 5 minus 4 minus 5 is 1. That is the quantity, percentage change in quantity demanded is 1.
Okay.
Then now the other one, 5 minus 4 is also 1. That is the change in the price elasticity. So when the percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to the percentage change in this, is inelastic, which is 1. The percentage change of this and this is 1.
Thank you.
Both sides is 1.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, very soon we're gonna make some of you TAs in the class. So this is what we've been saying from the word go, and when we were even interpreting in elastic, inelastic, and unit elastic, we said all this. All you need to know is the equivalent sign. All you need to know is the equal to sign. All you need to understand is equal, right? And that is what Clement has just explained to us. I'm not sure if somebody is having a challenge. I just want to show that every question will be interpreted to the details so that we do understand what we are doing, but not just giving answers. All right. So thank you so much, Clement. Thank you for that. It makes the class lively. Now, elasticity of demand and the total revenue. Elasticity of demand and total revenue. We can also use the elasticity of demand to calculate total revenue, okay, that we expect in our firms, whatever it is that we find ourselves, okay. So that is what we are about to talk about. We have another formula that we need to put it in our basket. We are shopping. We are in a shopping spree in this class. We have another formula, and the formula says what? P multiplied by Q is equivalent to total revenue. So price by what? Quantity, right? Is equivalent to what? Total revenue. Do we all agree, or somebody is not in agreement to what we are saying? Maybe somebody have a different interpretation to this. Maybe somebody might think the P is probability and then Q is maybe quotation. Are we there? So
Yes.
keep this in mind. You're gonna need it. The total revenue is defined or interpreted as P multiplied by Q. All right. So that's what we do have right there. So in inelastic regions of demand curve, okay, we will always look for it in here, and okay, on top you will see inelastic, and it has its interpretation right there, and it says what? Quantity change, percentage change in quantity demanded is greater or equal to percentage change in price. In elastic region of the demand curve, you will find out that this is what is happening. This is an elastic, okay, demand. Okay, this is an elastic demand. The total revenue here is elastic demand. All right, that is the effects of change in price, okay, on change in total revenue. Okay, so the price is going down and then total revenue is doing what? Going up. I hope somebody is following. So you see the gains over there, okay? You see the gains that with a quantity over there. You see it, and you see the loss from the lower price as well. You can also see that. All right. Now, let's see the effect over here. Total revenue, elastic demand again. Okay, let's see the effect over here. So when, let's see this, P, When P gets bigger, but not as much as Q, what is happening here? Can somebody see? The effects of change in price on what? Change in total revenue. Okay, price is going down, total revenue is doing what? Total revenue is doing what?
Going down. Total revenue is
Going down. Very good. It's going down. Total revenue, as you can see, is going down. Okay? The change in price increases revenue, but not by enough to offset the decrease in revenue caused by the drop, as you can see in Q. I hope somebody is following. Okay, and visually you can see the gains also from the increased price P. Okay, smaller loss from the Q. You could see the difference. Okay, when you increase the price in an elastic portion of a linear demand curve, you see the impact. Okay, good. Now we do have the elastic demand change in price. And as a summary, can somebody interpret what I have on the screen for us? Elastic demand. Can somebody interpret what is on the screen for us?
Professor, let me try.
Sure.
Okay, let me try, sir.
Go ahead, Clement.
Thank you, sir. So, what we are seeing here on the board, the elastic demand as in response to change in price. Here, the price of the elasticity of demand decrease, come down, then the total revenue now increase as a result of the reduction in price. Now, the reduction in price now led to the quantity demanded will now be high, therefore increase the total revenue.
All right, thank you. Thank you. That's good. That's good. Anybody else? Anybody else?
But we're having two scenarios here.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Clemente. Clement, sorry.
Okay. Yes, the second scenario shows that the total revenue goes up. The total revenue goes down as a result of the increase in price. The price went up and the total revenue goes down. The first scenario shows that when there is a decrease in price, the total revenue goes up. That indicates the arrows moving upward.
All right. Thank you. So what we just need to know is thinking about what we have been explaining concerning elastic demand. They are telling us that whenever you want to see an elastic demand, it should be greater than 1, which means the change in percentage in quantity demanded should be greater than the change in quantity percentage change in price. And the effects is what they have given to you right there, that the total revenue is going to increase. Okay, the total revenue is going to increase. The effect of change in price on the change in total revenue. Okay, and it can also go down. All right, and that is what we do have over the summary portion of it. If you have any question, please let me know. If you do not understand, if we see this as something you've never seen before, let me know. Good. Now, inelastic. In the inelastic region also. All right. What we have to know is what? Inelastic is what? Less than 1, which means change in percentage change in quantity demanded is less than percentage change in price. Right. How do we see that from here? How do we interpret that from here? If you wanted to increase your total revenue, would you increase price? Can somebody answer that? If you wanted to increase your total revenue, would you increase price?
For inelastic demanded products, yes, we would increase the price to earn more total revenue.
Oh boy. Okay, good. So what happens when we increase price?
When we increase the price, we will have more total revenue. The people, the change and the people demand will not change. Even if it changes, it changes a little, but still we will be able to sell the product so and higher prices, and we will be able to earn more of the total revenue.
Okay.
Somebody have a different thought?
Yes, sir.
Good.
So, based on what I'm seeing here, right on the screen, without giving more thoughts, it's quite explanatory that P1 to P2, when the P1 is up and the P2 is down, it shows that the movement between the price is a decrease. So the price is lower, and that is what is showing on the red. The red there indicating that there is
loss from yes.
Yes, downward, and that shows a decrease. Now, in that, since the price has come down in elastic goods, the change in quantity demanded is less than the change in price. Now, the arrow, the green, that's supposed to be the revenue is
the
now
gains.
reduced. Yes, it's now decreased because the price, I suppose, there was no proportional change. The price change in price, in price in demand is higher than that of the price. So they are incurring a little loss here, and the total revenue has dropped as a result of the drop in price. So
good. I want us to go step by step so that everybody will get it. That's why I asked the question. If you were to increase your total revenue, would you increase price? That question still stands.
Yes, you increase your price if you want to increase your revenue. So when price reduce, then your total revenue will automatically reduce.
No. Okay. So very good. So when price increase, what happens?
When price increase, few people in demand, fewer the quantity demanded will decrease as a result of the increase in price. It will
very
take
good
part of the consumer's income.
Okay, so that's what we are using to relate to what we see over here. Don't forget, if price goes up, quantity will go down. This is what we have been saying all along. All things being equal, if price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. And if quantity demand go down, price will also go down. It's opposite. Okay, I said it's opposite. It's vice versa. Okay, so that is what we need to be able to understand what we have here. Okay, if you decrease price, that is Q will go up and P will go down. Okay, but the change in the percentage change in quantity is going to be less or lesser than the percentage change in price. So Q gets bigger by a smaller amount than P shrinking, if you can see that. Okay, if you can see that, the Q gets bigger. I'm not sure if you can see it. Okay, the Q gets bigger when you decrease the price. You can see that right there, as I said. Okay, if you decrease your price, the quantity demanded will get bigger because a lot of people will be interested in your product because it's cheap. All right, so this will cause it to Q gets bigger by a smaller amount than P shrinking, okay, or going down. The change in quantity increases revenue, okay, but not by enough to also offset the decrease in revenue, which is caused by the drop in price. Okay, we need to understand that. If you look at it from the screen, okay, you can see the gains from the increased part of Q, all right, which is quantity, which are less than the loss from the lower, which is lower P, which is in red. Okay, when you decrease the price in an inelastic portion of a linear curve, okay, this is what is going to happen. Good. So if nobody have a question, let's keep moving forward, as somebody is having a chat which we don't want us to get disturbed. So inelastic demand is also another scenario on your screen. In the inelastic region of the demand curve, it is always, and it has always been what? Less percentage change in quantity demanded is less than percentage change in what? In price, as we could see over there. So once you see that this is less than 1, okay, then it means we are going to get what? Inelastic, no matter what it is. Okay, if you do the calculation, you'll be able to see. Okay, I'm not sure if you want us to do the calculations. When you look at the gains from the higher price, okay, it's $2. I'm not sure if we can all see. Okay, $2 multiplied by 20 will give us what? 40, right? Okay, and then the loss part, which is the red, is what? It's $5 multiplied by what? 5 multiplied by what? You see the blue comes all the way down. So 5 multiplied by 5 is 25. Okay, so you can also see that from the screen, okay, that the Q get decreased and it's less than the gains from the higher P that you see over there, or higher price that you see over there. When you increase price in an elastic portion of a linear demand curve, this is what also happens. Okay, good. Now we have the summary to that also. And again, in a similar way as to the first one that we interpreted. Inelastic is telling us that what? It is less than 1, which means the percentage change in quantity demanded is less than the percentage change in price. The effect is what? You see what? Price, total revenue going down. when there is an effect on the change of price, it's going to affect the total revenue. Okay, so that is also a summary as we see right there. Now let's move forward. We do have what we term as total revenue maximized. Total revenue maximized. At unit elasticity, total revenue is maximized. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. You know, firm gets more total revenue with lower prices in the elastic region of the demand curve, and more total revenue with what? A very high price in the elastic region of a demand curve. So at this point, total revenue is maximized. I'm not sure somebody really gets what I'm saying. Let's try to discuss what we have already said. Can somebody give me some definitions right here? Define the total revenue for me. Can somebody do that? Can somebody help us with total revenue?
Yes, Professor.
Good. Go ahead.
Total revenue is the product or the product of the price and the quantity demanded.
Okay.
That is what total revenue.
Good. So that is what we have from our colleague Clement. Okay.
Yes.
So the total revenue test is also another method. Okay, it's another method that we're gonna be using. Okay.
Can I say
somebody want to talk?
Yes, Professor.
Go ahead.
For the total revenue test, I'm not sure, but this is my understanding that we check the total revenue at a certain price and compare it to the total revenue when we change the price.
Are you talking about the test?
The test.
Yes, the test is something else. Yes, that's what I'm about to explain. But I wanted somebody to explain total revenue.
Total revenue is the result of price multiplied by the quantity.
That's correct. All right,
No,
that's what.
But I'm talking about the test.
That's fine. We are going on to the test. Okay. Unless you want to brief us on the test, go ahead.
No, I from my understanding, if I want to test the total revenue, I will check it at a certain price multiplied by the quantity. Then I will compare it to the total revenue when I change the price and the quantity.
That's right.
This will be the based on the result, we can see if the demand is elastic or inelastic or unit elastic.
Very good. By seeing if it is decreasing or is increasing. Very good.
Exactly.
Very good. That is what we are going to talk. That's all that the test is about. Okay. And I'm not sure if you know or you understand why is that being done, or what for what reason that is being done. We do this to see what you just explained. What do we do this to for us to attain? Okay, thank you. You know, it is just for us to go back to the very first couple of slides. Again, elasticity, the responsiveness, okay, the sensitivity, okay. So in doing this, what are we trying to get? To determine whether consumers are responsive or not responsive. Okay, this is all that we are trying to do in terms of the total revenue test. This is what we are trying to do, to find out if consumers are responsive. If they are responsive in that category, we say what? They are is what? Elastic, right? If they are not, then we talk about what? Inelastic. If they are experiencing maybe a one-to-one trade-off, that's where we conclude and say what? It's what do we call it? Unit, right? It's unit elastic. Okay, so it's so simple, as our brother helped us with. Total revenue is the price multiplied by the quantity purchased. Okay, if price is decreasing, quantity is increasing, and total revenue is increasing. The response is what? Elastic. In another scenario that we will be able to conclude, if price is increasing, quantity is decreasing, and total revenue is decreasing, the response here is elastic. Okay, in the elastic region, price and total revenue move in opposite direction. Okay, so that is what we do have over here. If price, for example, quantity and then total revenue are all decreasing, the response is automatically what? Can somebody tell me? If price, okay, if price, quantity, and total revenue are all decreasing, automatically we're going to have what? Inelastic response in the market. Okay, so this is what I need you to understand. All right, and that is what we have to be able to at least put across. I'm not sure if somebody have a challenge, somebody doesn't understand what we are talking about. Are we clear? So if all of them, price, total quantity, and total revenue are all decreasing, we know what it is. Okay, if price is decreasing or increasing and quantity demanded changes by the same percentage as the price change, then total revenue does not change, and it is what? It tends to be what? Equivalent. Okay, so unit elastic is what equivalency will also relate to. Good. Now let's move on to determinants. Determinants of elasticity: demand, substitute, and income. Let's see how it impacts elasticity of demand. Substitute and income. Let's see how it affects the elasticity of demand. You know, elasticity is always determined in part by substitutes and income. As we said a couple of minutes ago with the examples that we were given, if we have money, we'll be able to do that. If we don't have money and we cannot get any way to get it, what do we do? Do we have any options? Do we have any substitute? Options become our substitute right here, right? So that is what determinants of elasticity is all about. I don't think this is going to be anything that somebody will not understand. So that is elasticity of demand, income, and substitute, how it affects elasticity. So demand is more elastic when what? More substitutes are available. That is demand. Okay, it is more substitutes. Sorry, it's more elastic when more substitutes are available. The proportion of income is also what? Higher, or is larger. Okay, that is demand. So whenever demand is more elastic, this is the basis. This causes the demand to be more elastic. We have other substitutes. If this person is not, if this product is too high, or I cannot get this, I'll get something else. Well, I have the money. I have the money. Okay, so increase the product to whatever level it is. Okay, although it's going to affect me, I'm going to feel it. I'll still buy. I always try to cite example with cigarette. You go to so many countries, cigarette, you have a hefty tax on it. But does that stop people from smoking? No, they will still smoke because that is one. Probably it might reduce some aspects of the people who smoke. According to, where is it? There was a research done in where is it? There was a research also done about this. Yes, in somewhere in United States, right? And according to Gary and then Kelvin, they found that a 10% increase in cigarette prices reduced current consumption among adults by just 4%. Just 4%. Okay, when they increase the cigarette prices by 10%, you can only get about 4% being affected. Okay, and over 5-year period, cigarette consumption was also fell by just 7.5%. You know, this is what I'm trying to say, that it tends to be I have the money, okay, or I have what? I have other options, okay. And this is what we are trying to talk about in terms of demand being more elastic. All right, so that is what we have. And there was another study also somewhere in United States also about general accounting offered review that the elasticity of demand for cigarettes among teenagers was somewhat higher, between 0.76 and then 1.2. Okay, in a survey tracking 25,000 eighth graders since 1988. Okay, so this is telling us that 1.2 is greater than 1. All right, and 7.76. At the end of the day, this raises an interesting public policy issue, okay? Because no matter what it is, the Surgeons General keeps reminding us on every pack of cigarettes, as well as in newspapers and magazines, people will continue to smoke. And it's all about the determinant. It's all about the basis. It's all about the backbone of what they based on to make their decision. And that is the money, the substitute. Any question here? Good. So, which is more elastic and why? We have oranges and we have a car. Can somebody tell us?
Orange is more elastic than a car.
Oranges, they are more elastic than a car. Anybody else?
I agree.
Good.
Oranges. Yeah.
Monsoon. Okay. Noran, thank you. Good. You know, oranges are more elastic for both reasons. For both reasons, in a sense that, one, I have the money, or it is just a minute out of the money that I have in my pocket. It doesn't cost me that much, right? And guess what? They have more available substitutes right there. It's right there. You go here, you're going to find this type, you're going to find that. It's right there. Okay, so it becomes more elastic. I hope this is not a tricky question, and we should all be fine with that. Okay, so determinants of elasticity of demand, basing on what? Necessities, luxuries, and time. Okay, we got to the place where people will really understand what they need and what they don't have to, you know. So determinants of elasticity based on necessity, luxuries, and then time. You know, other determinants of elasticity includes these ones. We did mention the price and substitute, and these are also others that we can also dealt much into. Okay, so on the other hand, what do we have? The more a good is considered to be a luxury, the more elastic its demand is. True or false?
Professor, I think that luxury products are should have inelastic demand.
The more a good is considered to be a luxury is inelastic.
Yeah, yes, I guess. Because, Professor, we see that there are products that people will pay whatever the amount.
Sorry, it is elastic.
No matter.
No, go
no
ahead.
matter how
go ahead,
the price.
Mansoor. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are products that that when the price go up, people don't care about that and still keep buying the product. So I think that luxury products could have inelastic demand, such as for example maybe a luxury car. People when go to buy the car don't care about the price. They just go for the brand, and they just go to buy the car whatever the amount. So that will make the product to have an inelastic demand. That's my idea.
I'm not convinced, Mansoor, because does it mean everybody being on the demand side will be able to afford that?
No, Professor, not everybody, but people with good income.
Okay,
Those who
so
can afford it.
So the more a good is considered to be a luxury, can that still be what? Inelastic, as you are saying?
Well, that differs for different people, Professor. But maybe for in general, that could be elastic. But if we go, if we talk about specific people who can afford a luxury product, the demand for the product could be inelastic for them.
Okay, this is a general question, though. Thank you,
Okay.
by the way. So, Ahmed, you wanted to talk. Go ahead, Ahmed.
Yes,
Thank you,
actually, I agree that it is elastic. See,
I know.
as Mansoor said,
go ahead.
As Mansoor said, it could be inelastic, but for some people. So
Very
if we
good.
say the golden word, if all things remain constant, meaning
Very good.
our income is the same, for example, okay, let's say I'm taking $5,000, okay, and I like to have the latest mobile phone, okay. For me, it's a luxury, for example, okay.
Yes.
So if the phone is $1,000, I can afford it. I can live with 4,000, okay. But if the new phone is $3,000, then I cannot live with 2,000. Then then I will go for the alternative, different phone, or I will not even buy it.
That is true, but that's why Mansoor at the end of the day said general. Don't forget, if we are being posed with a questions like this, you consider yourself. They are not posing the question to millionaires. They are not posing the question to people with a certain category of income. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so on a normal way of interpreting stuff, Okay, assuming I come to your class, Economics 109, and this is what we are trying to pose to the class. Would this be inelastic? The more a good is considered to be a luxury, the more elastic demand for you and your friends? No. Sorry, the more inelastic it is going to be for your good and your friends? No. You will not have more than enough money to do what? To spend on that. You understand what I'm saying? Are you with me?
Yes.
Good. So it tends to be what? Elastic. But yes, I do agree to a certain extent that if you are considering people who can afford it, and guess what? That's why economics will always have what? Choice and scarcity right there. So this is for us to at least interpret it based on a normal day-to-day activity, how we see it, and eventually we will all understand that it is elastic. Okay, its demand is elastic. On the other hand, you can also say that maybe the more good or services is a necessity. Okay, the more good or services is a necessity, then it becomes inelastic to its demand. Are we there? Are we there?
Yes, Professor. That's all.
Good. So it becomes, if it is necessity, which I know some people will see luxury as their necessity, but in quotation marks, in real world, we cannot take that as a necessity. We know what necessity is on a general term that everybody can understand. Although, yes, you can also have in quotation marks, certain people have some kind of necessity, but we are grouping people on a general level and to be able to understand economics. All right. So this is elastic, and we'll consider if it's what we call it, necessity. Then we're gonna say it is inelastic. Good. We are almost right there. Again, which is more elastic and why? Vacation, running water at home. What are you going to tell me?
Vacation.
Vacation. Anybody with a different answer? Okay, so this is telling us that water is what? Water is a necessity. Okay, water is a necessity, so it becomes an inelastic demand. Okay, vacation. Yep. At the end of the day, access to water at your house or vacation, then vacation becomes inelastic. I hope we're all following. If you don't have water in your house, we are in trouble. Okay, so elasticity. The more time one has to adjust, the more elastic the demand curve becomes. True or false?
True.
Okay, good. You know, sometimes we call this a second law of demand. Okay, we call this sometimes a second law of demand. The more time one has to adjust, the more elastic the demand curve becomes. Okay, demand is more responsive to price in the long run. In the long run, demand is more responsive to price. Okay, so that is what we do have. Now, which is more elastic in demand? Which is more elastic in demand? Having telephone service, having cable TV service? Which one? Is it everybody who have to be watching television? Is it everybody who have to be using telephone? What is it? Can somebody tell me?
B, I guess.
Thank you. Noran,
Yes, B.
why is it B?
Because it is not a necessity as the telephone for communication, of course.
So what is the answer?
B.
Which is more elastic in demand? B. Do we all agree to that?
Yes, I agree with B.
Okay. So telephone is considered what? A basic necessity, right? Right?
Yes.
Are we there? Okay. So if we want to talk about telephone, what is the other substitute for telephone? Anything? You don't think
telephone.
so? Telephone. Go ahead.
I get the telephone is the most basic form of communicating service.
Okay. So, do we consider cable service to be what we call it, luxury in this scenario?
Again, please.
Do we consider cable service to be a luxury in this scenario?
Yes.
Okay. So, telephone becomes what? A necessity. And the more necessity becomes, what do we say? It's what? Inelastic. Are we there? Sorry. Are we following?
Yes, Professor.
I lost. Okay. So, I hope we are okay. We do understand that, right? Give me 1 second. This are the determinants. Okay, so now it says what? Discuss the determinants that affect the price elasticity of demand and give an example. Okay, the determinants that influence price elasticity of demand, what are they? Can somebody mention one? We just spoke to this. We just did this.
Substitutes and income.
Thank you, Awad, Ahmed. Can somebody say some also? Please.
Keep it Awad, Professor. I don't mind.
Yes. Thank you, Ahmed. Can somebody make this class lively?
Keep it Awad. Just call me Awad because there is another Ahmed in the
class. Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm happy with Awad.
Oh, okay. Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Can somebody also give us something? We have a lot of this. I hope Awad is not the only person in the class. Anyway, so if nobody is gonna talk, I'm gonna keep my dollars. So you can put together how much it is now. So now you have 35 cents Awad. So that is what we do have. So that is what he said. We have necessity, what we call a substitute. We have luxury. We have so many things that causes this determinants of supply of demand. Okay, and at least we shouldn't just forget it just like that. At least substitute is there, income is also there, and at least you shouldn't forget we have necessities, we have I think we have luxury, and we have dealt with this into details. Okay, and finally we also spoke about time. Okay, so that is what we have, and I believe we made justice to that. Okay, so now let's try to get into income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand. Okay, a change, okay, in income can affect the elasticity of demand. We measure the responsiveness of demand to changes in income by doing what? Calculating the income elasticity of demand. Okay, so that is what we are trying to do, and this is so simple. It's as simple as we can refer to the first formula. It says a measure of how responsive demand is to a change in consumer income, and the formula is what you can see: change in quantity, a percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in what? In income. So I hope we are not going far away, because we only took price from here under the change in quantity. We only took price, which was our elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand, sorry. Okay, the formula for price elasticity of demand, what we have changed here is only the income. I hope we can all see that. So if you take the income from there and you put P, it becomes our what do we call it? Price elasticity of demand. Okay, I hope we are all clear with that. All right, so we have to look at how it responds to what? Demand is to a change in consumer income. Okay, a measure of how responsive demand is to a change in consumer income. All right, so that is what we have. We measure the responsiveness of a demand to change in income by calculating the income elasticity of demand. The same scenario, don't forget, the same scenario. Quantity demanded, okay, minus QD2 minus QD1, original minus the new price, the new quantity divided by the original quantity. Okay, the same thing. And then we will deal with income instead of price. Please, this is just a simple change here that you should all remember. All right, and this will give us income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand. If you have any question, just click the button as we move forward. Okay, click the button so that I can hear that somebody is in the ICU and he needs life support. Okay, so income elasticity, and we have normal good, change in income and demand in the same direction. Okay, positive relation, positive value, demand. Okay, definition of the normal good is also what we have over there. So positive relationship is equivalent to what? It's equivalent to normal good. Negative relationship is equivalent to inferior good. I hope we understand what is going on here. I hope we understand what is going on here. So when income goes up and demand goes down with a negative, okay, we have what? An inferior type of good. Okay, we have an inferior type of good. All right, and that is what we have to know. Okay, again, if income goes down, demand goes up, but still giving us in a negative category, we will still have an inferior good. Okay, and on the other hand, when we want to deal with a normal good, an increase and a decrease in income, which ends results becomes positive, tends to be what? A normal good. Okay, it tends to be a normal good. Therefore, we have the income elasticity that tends to be a normal good for us. So on the other scenario, when there is a decrease in income and there is a decrease in demand, resulting in a positive category, we also end up having a normal good. We end up having a normal good. All right, so that is what we have for the income elasticity. Let me throw this example to you and see who gives us something good. If your income goes up by, say, 5%, okay, if your income goes up by 5%, your consumption of sunscreen goes up by 1%. Okay, what do we have here? What do we have here?
It's a normal good because when my income increased, my consumption for it increased.
Okay, thank you, Noran. So that's a normal good. All right, so that's a +2 right there. Sorry, plus 2 plus 0.2. That's income elasticity. So this tells us that it's a normal good. It's a normal good. Okay, if your income goes up by 5%, okay, and your consumption of walks in the park goes down by -5%, then we end up having what? An inferior good, which is less than 1, -1, which is income elasticity is -1, and that tells us that it's an inferior good, right? So after going through those slides, can somebody define for us what income elasticity of demand is? Can somebody define that for us? Is somebody in this class?
Yes.
Winnie, are you there?
Yes.
Can you help us with income elasticity of demand? Just the definition. What does it measure? What does income elasticity of demand measure? Okay, so as we all know, okay, go ahead.
It measures the responsiveness of demand in relationship to the consumer's income.
Thank you. Thank you. So that is the response to change in income. That's all it measures. All right. That's all it measures. So how consumers respond to change in income. That's what income elasticity of demand measures. All right. And they want us to also distinguish between normal and inferior good. Can somebody also say something about that?
Again, the question, Professor, please.
Can somebody say about something about normal and inferior goods? Can you distinguish the two?
As your income increases, the demand for inferior good decreases.
Okay. Okay. So, you see the formula, let me go back. It's right there. We're dealing with positive and negative. Somebody want to say something? Okay. If the sign is positive, the good is a normal good. Okay. If the sign says positive, the good is a normal good. And if the sign is negative, it tends to be an inferior good. So simple. It's so simple. No, the formula is the percentage change in quantity demanded by the percentage change in income. All right. It's so simple. And you see that when you find out that the sign for what we call it, the normal good is positive, it's positive. And if it's negative, it tends to be inferior. If you're having any challenge, please feel free to talk. All right. Let's see what we have here. Which of the following is not correct regarding income elasticity of demand? It measures the response of consumer demand to changes in consumer income. Well,
I guess
it is A,
I guess
right?
the answer is I guess
Who
the
was
answer
that?
is D.
The answer is D.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's A. We need a second person to justify that for us. Income elasticity of demand measures the response of consumer demand to changes in consumer income. And Nora said is what? It measures the response of consumer demand to changes in the price of a related good.
For this question, Nora is correct.
Oh, so you're telling me I'm wrong? So nobody can back my answer for me?
I think if if the responsiveness is in response, it's not other goods. Then
Say that again. You see, all the very first three is correct, right? With the exception of the last one. So Nora was able to do the elimination process very well. And he was backed by Professor Ahmed Awad. You know, they tried to give me F, but it's okay. So if you're able to at least eliminate the answers one by one and you end up getting what is not correct, here they are telling us that not correct. They are not telling us that it's correct, right? So the first three is correct. Okay, the first three is correct. But the last one, which is it measures the response of consumer demand to changes in the price of a related good. The related good is something that should click the bell. It should ring in your ears. Did we even talk about that? No. We have been talking about these things, but it doesn't really come to that level of related good. Okay, so that is what we can say. So Nora is correct, and the answer is D. Folks, I hope we are all following. Okay, now let's move on to price elasticity of supply and we'll be able to finish that quickly and then end the day. Good. Price elasticity of demand supply is just the opposite of what we have spoken about. So if you do understand whatever we are saying, it should be very easy and simple to understand that, because it's the same concept that you're going to turn it over to be able to apply in the supply side of this. So that is what we call it, price elasticity of supply. Price elasticity of supply. How is it defined? Right there. Price elasticity, it measures how responsive quantity supplied is to a change in price. And guess what? Right there, this is how we calculate it. And you can see that the only thing which has changed from here in terms of price elasticity of demand is the Q. Okay, is the Q. Sorry, is the S right under the Q, right? If you look at the price elasticity of demand, you will see a D. I hope we are all present in the class. So the same formula, but Q and S is making a difference right there. So you see E with S is equivalent to percentage change in quantity in supply and divided by percentage change in price. This is the same similar formula which was given to us in the price elasticity of demand without S but D. I hope somebody is following. So when we get there, we are also talking about the same thing, the same calculation. But don't forget, there is an S after the Q, but not D. It means you're going to have the effect in terms of supply, but not demand. The same thing, the same relationship, the same thing, okay? The same thing, okay? At the end of the day, as price goes up, the quantity supplied will also do what? Increase, okay? As price goes up, the quantity supplied will increase. How do we do that? By calculating the quantity, the percentage change in quantity supplied. And you can see over there, using the subtraction of Q2 minus Q1, okay, divided by Q1, which is the original, multiplied by 100%. That will give you the percentage change in supply, okay? And then we move on to price. Price with P2, P1 divided by P1, which is the original, multiplied by 100%, will give us the percentage change in price. When we get this, we just go back, okay? We go back and put it in there. And this will give us our price elasticity of supply. I hope somebody is following, okay? So we do have an example right there. And just like the price elasticity of demand, it says quantity is originally at 20 and changes to what? 25 units. Price is originally at $10 and changes to 11. What do we have? What is the effect? This is what we have right here, okay? It's as simple as we can think about, okay? So at the end of the day, if the price increases by 1%, the quantity supplied will increase by 2.5%. Okay, we now have the percentage change in quantity supplied and the percentage in price from the formula we just spoke about, okay, which is all we need to calculate the price elasticity of supply. All right, elasticity of supply in this context, as we are seeing from this screen, is 2.5. Okay, what does that mean? 2.5. What does that mean? Can somebody tell us? Hello, is somebody here?
Yes, sir.
Repeat the question again, please.
Elasticity of supply after our calculation is 2.5. What does that mean?
So it means that if there is if the price increased by 1%, okay, the quantity supplied will increase by 2.5.
That's good. So when we say it's 2.5, what does that mean? Elasticity of supply is 2.5. What is the effect in terms of elastic, inelastic, unit? What is the effect?
It means that it's an elastic
Elastic.
supply.
Okay. See, I just want you to follow. And I do appreciate you, Awad, and everybody, Clement, and you all. You know, Nora is afraid I'm going to penalize her, so she doesn't want to talk now. Okay, good. Let's keep forward. Price elasticity of supply, with a hint, they're saying that the price elasticity of supply will always be positive. It will always and always be positive. Okay. This is because of what? Can somebody say? There is a direct, okay, relationship between what? Price and quantity. There is a direct relationship. Soon as, hey, you decide to, the price decide to go down, guess what? Suppliers will supply less. Is that not it? Or there is something else? All things being equal, if price go down, supply goes down. Okay, and that is what it is. So it's a hint that price elasticity of supply would always be positive because there is a direct relationship between price and the quantity supplied. If you don't understand, please, again, feel free to just interrupt me at any point in time. All right. Now, I need somebody to do me this favor. We need to compare and contrast the price elasticity of supply and the price elasticity of demand at the end of the day. Then we'll be able to get out from here. What can we compare in terms of price elasticity of demand and price elasticity of supply? They use the same concept. Oh, who wanted to talk?
Yes.
Noran, go ahead.
Yes, I guess same concept should be applied on both of them. The main difference is the negativity of the elasticity of demand and the positivity of supply shall be positive. I think this is a point to compare, and all other techniques we have taken in demand shall be applied here. And of course, we shall find differences along the application of each rule we have taken.
All right. Thank you, Noran. Thank you so much. You know, that's exactly what I was talking about. Now I'm going to owe you another 15 cents. You know, the only thing I did not hear from Noran is about the total revenue test, which works on the demand side of the market, but not on the supply side of the market. That's it. She said everything, which means she's in the class. Folks, if somebody doesn't understand what's going on, please let me know. All right. Good. Now we are getting closer to the end of the day, but some people will stay in the class because they've not spoken. So they will stay here till we go home and come, and then we'll come and release them. Okay, so elastic, inelastic, and unit elastic supply. Same thing we've been talking about. Same thing. Very similar. Okay, very similar to the elasticity of demand. Again, we will characterize supply as either elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic. The same thing. It hasn't changed. Or something, there is something else. Somebody want to tell me. We have pre-elastic, then we can add it to it. Okay, so we will also consider supply in the same category as we did for demand. All right, please just know that. So when we get to the supply side, yes, we have the same symbols here. We have similar, the same quotations and signs, everything, same thing here. Okay, as I explained, using your arm, the left one means less than and the right one means greater than. Okay, when supply is elastic, we are talking about supply being greater than 1. When you do your calculations with the percentage change in quantity in supply, okay, it should be greater than what? The percentage change in price. Okay, this is what we are talking about. This is what we are talking about. At the end of the day, inelastic is telling us that it should be less than 1, which means the percentage change in quantity supply should be less than percentage change in price. I hope we are all true. And unit elastic is also what we term as the equivalent, equal to 1. Okay, it's equal to 1. That is what unit elastic is. If the value of the elasticity of supply is exactly 1, it is considered as unit elastic. Okay, so that is what we have for this as well. Now, I hope somebody makes my day to give me the correct answer to what we have over here, and we'll be able to bring this class to an end. If the change in price is 2% and the change in quantity supplied, okay, and the change in quantity supplied is also 10%, supply is what?
Elastic.
Elastic.
Yes.
Supply is elastic. Who is that? Clement?
Yes, sir.
Why is it elastic?
Because the change in quantity supplied is greater than the change in price, which shows that by the question, if the change in quantity supplied is greater than the change in price, is elastic, meaning that it's more than 1.
Okay. Because I think is C. Do we all agree? Are we there?
How much you will give me to
I
agree?
guess A is the answer.
A is the answer. Yes, that's what Clement said, and I just wanted to find out, because I don't know if we all know, if we divide this 10% by 2, what do we get?
5.
5. And 5 is greater than what? 1, right?
Yes.
That's it. So that makes it what? Answer elastic. I hope we all get it, and we do understand that. All right. I'm not sure if somebody have any question. There is any sort of misunderstanding, challenge anywhere. Please let me know. Good. If not, I just want to remind everyone that the mid semester is going to end tomorrow and is due tomorrow. Please make sure you do justice to that as early as possible, and your homework assignment is also due tomorrow. I wish you the very best, and I cannot wait for us to get to the end of this this particular semester with flying colors. I wish you well again, and then I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Professor.
Thank you, Noran.